Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we're back with more Variable Barricade. I am not dying today, although my allergies were being a fucking ass this morning, so I don't know. But anyway, we seem to be fine, so we're gonna power through, and hopefully fucking shit records the whole entire thing, and I don't have to redo parts, because I don't got time for that shit. Anyway, also Pio Fiore 1926 game today, and I'm quite excited. I kind of went, got my mail, started to open the box, got distracted by something, and totally forgot about it. So anyway, oh, that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. Anyway, yeah, prove you're serious. Ichiya's confidence evaporates, convinced I'll choose Kazuya, but I want to know his real feelings. Goals play this event. Bird stop. Bright morning sunlight shone in through the window. I glanced over at it and sighed. I hadn't slept well last night. Right, I read some of this. Forgot. Because when I first did the last part, we had gotten a little bit into this chapter, and then everything crashed. So, first 5-10 minutes of this might be familiar to me, not to you. Anyway, my head feels stuffy, not the least bit rested. And you know that yesterday was exactly how I felt. So I knew why, too. After my date with Kazu last night, my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. I think it was nearly dawn before I finally fell into a fitful sleep. Asuka said he had business in Kamakura in regards to my date yesterday, too. Asuka normally didn't let me sleep in terribly long, even on weekends, but he wasn't here to wake me early today for exactly that reason. I love you too, buddy, but you can't shove your head under my headset. And your fucking toenails are so fucking sharp, they goddamn fucking hurt. I'm gonna need you to stop. It is very painful. You need to trim your motherfucking toenails. Love you, but you gotta trim your toenails. They hurt. They're like daggers. Little needles jabbing into your fucking face and my neck. What? I love you, but it's uncomfortable. I think, first, I need to speak with Ichiya. Yes, it will be awkward, but that isn't an excuse anymore. I rubbed my temple to stave off a headache as I opened the living room door. Good morning. Good morning, Spacey. You're up late today, babe. What, did you stay up all night or something? You could say that. I was thinking things over. None of them knew I'd met with Kazu yesterday. I hadn't told them. They'd promised not to interfere with any of my dates with Kazu, but knowing them, there was always an off chance. And for some reason, going to see Kazu now felt a little like a betrayal. I felt more than one stab of guilt over the meeting yesterday. Not that I owe any of them anything, of course, but still. I automatically let my eyes roam around the room, looking for Ichiya. I noticed, and if you're looking for Ichiya, he's gone. You won't find any breakfast waiting for you either. What? Today's morning meal is a lovely loaf of snack bread, I'm afraid. Ichiya left for somewhere early this morning and hasn't returned. Oh. You know, the weirdest part is because I read some of this, as I'm reading it and they're talking about this, I'm like, right, the snack bread, and then the snack bread comes up, and it's fucking weird considering the weird brain issues I've been having, that when I go into I call it a blackout, I don't even know what it is, but I always have this vivid, visceral memory or a dream, because I can never place it once I'm coherent again. I'm it felt like something I remember, but I can't be sure because I can't remember what it is afterward, you know what I mean? And so because of all of those things and all these issues, now reading this and reading it again, I'm oh, okay, no, this is literally just because I actually fucking read this yesterday, but it's trippy as fuck. The feeling it's freaking me out a little. It's I don't like this, because I read this yesterday, and I know I read this yesterday, but I'm still getting this weird vibe, oh no, things aren't good, and I'm things are fine, I'm fine right now. But shit, it's a little triggering. Christ. Of all the times for him to vanish, did Kazu let him know that I went to see him last night? I should have grabbed him as soon as I came home yesterday. I shouldn't have waited until morning. Really avoiding you, Spacey. You really didn't need to say that out loud. Ichiya's disappearing act wasn't a big mystery. I grimaced, conflicted. I suppose this time he decided to go the run-away from home route instead of hiding in his room. It was painfully obvious to me now that he had a long, not-so-proud history of running away from his problems. After Kazu told me what Ichiya's life had been like in the Shinzaki family, I could understand why he'd formed the habit, but his family is one thing. What's he gonna do if he keeps running away from me, though? I rolled my eyes and sighed. The other three ignored me to start their own conversation about him. Ichiya started acting really weird right after Kazu came to visit us, right? He seemed weird to me. Yeah, he did. Sheesh, the guy said he had the guts to fight back against his brother, but now look at him. The hell, bro? I think he compares rather well in appearance, at least. When it comes to what's inside, he fails. Hard. They were showing it in a twisted way, but I could tell the three of them were as concerned about Ichiya as I was. No, it's not just that. Now that I think about it, ever since Kazu showed up, a realization sparked in my mind. I paused, then gave voice to my thoughts. Guys, I only just realized this, but the way you're speaking makes it sound as if you're rooting for Ichiya's success. Have you given up on marrying me yourselves? The three of them quickly glanced between each other, their expressions clearly surprised, and because I have a vague recollection what I was thinking in this moment because it just popped back into my head again. As weird as it is right now. But this is what they always do in every route, right? Once you've kind of planted your flag, they're all like, all right, we're going to help a bro out. So not unlike what's always happened. So, Shion's over there no, what? But Nayuta's just here to be your bodyguard, so he's like, no! And fucking Taiga was never here for anything other than to watch you people, so it's just kind of funny now, knowing everybody's secrets, right? Well, it's, we called a truce of sorts. The Kazuya is presently the largest threat to all of us, after all. Instead of attempting to resist him separately, we thought it might be wiser if we instead rallied together around Ichiya. There's strength in numbers. Yeah, besides, if I had to pick between the two, I like Ichiya way better. Personally, I'd find it terribly annoying if Ichiya felt isolated enough to lock himself in his room again. Jesus fucking Christ, my phone is such a piece of shit. I got a text probably from my mother, and I'm trying to just unlock my phone, because she's driving, so, she's traveling, so I just wanted to, check and see. Hold on. We have a group text with my sisters and my mom, and my mom's traveling up north, so I thought it was, I heard the ping and I was like, oh, okay, it's a text. It's obviously that group message, right? Just because my normal text noise is so fucking irritating when there's 5 people going, I just want to chuck it across the room. So I gotta change it for everybody. My mom, I heard it one day, I was playing my games, and my text went off and I ignored it, and then text went off again, and I was like, whatever, I'm doing stuff, and then I looked and it was my mom, and I was like, oh, she's worried that I died over here, right? And I'm like, I was playing a game, she's like, you have to have a special text message, sound for me, blah, blah, and I'm like, cause she was about to call me, and I'm like, I feel bad that I made the poor woman worry. She normally probably wouldn't worry, but it's just because of the shit that I've been dealing with, she's more on edge than I am. I'm like, you can't be stressed out for me, lady. Jesus, I can't handle all of it. But no, but my other sister was texting asking, how you doing? Probably my mom. So I said, I'm good, thanks. Anyway. Good point. It is a good point, me. Just kidding. Well, I agreed with what the three of them said. I couldn't help but feel like they were hiding something. That said, it didn't seem prudent to go prying any deeper into the subject. I quietly closed my mouth. And still, with Ichiya acting all mopey, we aren't going to be able to do much at all, huh? Indeed. If we're to rectify the situation, we need to discover why he seems to be so timid around his brother all the time. Yeah, we'll have to get that info right from the horse chef's mouth. If only it were so easy. What I heard from Kazu had gone a long way toward explaining Ichiya's attitude towards his twin, but I still only had one side of the story. I couldn't make a considered decision until I'd heard what happened from Ichiya's perspective. The problem, apparently, was pinning him down long enough to hear that perspective. Spacey, do you think you could do something about Ichia? Why me? Come on, babe. This is your problem, too. The way things are going, you've real high odds of getting married off to Kazuya. You might want to take things a little more seriously, eh? Yes, but how do you expect me to do anything when he's obviously avoiding me at every turn? My negative response must have gotten Shion's attention because he looked at me with a concerned smile. Dun dun. Say, Spacey, how about we set aside the marriage discourse for now, alright? And tell me, you do want Ichia to cheer up again, right? Well, yes. Great! That makes things easy. All we gotta do is scruff him and drag him over to you. Let me handle that part. This sounds uncomfortably familiar. This was the sort of plan that took a very physical turn. Ichia would, in other words, be strong-armed. And didn't he always get attacked in Nayuta's route? Wasn't he always Nayuta's punching bag? Poor fucking Ichia. I had no idea how exactly they planned to snare him, and I wasn't sure I wanted to know. It's gonna be fun. I left them to their devices, ducking into the kitchen to grab some snack bread for breakfast before heading back to my room. And that's kind of where I think I had ended it originally. I managed to stay at my room most of the day by saying I had a book I needed to read. Sitting on my couch, I pulled out my phone and sighed. The Shinzaki situation aside, Mr. Mitsumori is your favorite, right? I discussed things with Tsumugi for a bit via Wisp, but she was distracted by an event of some sort. I sat and stared at her last message to me, unsure how to respond. Not sure I understand what she means by stan, but I think she's asking if I'd choose Ichia or Kazu. She didn't say stan in her text message. Oh, that's weird. Speaking as the Tojo family heir, Kazu. But Ichia and I had spent a lot of time together. We had memories, and if I'm being honest, we shared more than a little sentiment. In fact, if I was to be honest with myself, if Kazu hadn't shown up unexpectedly after our date that night, I think I might have locked down Ichia as my final choice. But now I wasn't sure because... Who you pick as your fiancé is your business. She's like, because Ichia pulled away, but it's like, once you have to be like, let me ask you something. If I told you I would choose you right now, are you still gonna throw me at your brother? God, no. Okay, then cool, Marcin. You know what I mean? I don't understand what Ichia feels about all this. He feels like his brother always wins, so there's no point in fighting. You know what I mean? I did know that he had feelings for me. After he broke down in front of me, I finally got a glimpse of his true nature, and I wasn't displeased with what I saw. I know, I wasn't either, right? Crying Ichia. Are we gonna flash back to that CG? Because I'm here for this amount of flashbacks. All that said, his tendency to turn tail and run whenever he faced a difficult situation was an irresponsible and worrying habit. I can't help but wonder if that's really all there is to him. Tired of thinking and worrying, I slouched on my couch and fiddled listlessly with my phone, but... Yes, but he keeps running away. If he's not up for this anymore, I wish he'd just say so. Then a ping sounded, a reply from Tsumugi. Now that's a clever technique. He started out strong and assertive, and now he retreats. Spacey, this is actually your best opportunity. I guarantee that Mr. Mitsumori is falling to pieces, his face streaming with tears, just as you like him. God, she knows us so well. Tsumugi, are you like the weird entity that's trying to take over my brain? Do I have a split personality? Is it you? Because, like, that you knew that girl. I mean, Look. I mean, the game us didn't particularly like, oh, I like it when he cries, but was like, I kind of like you better when you broke down because you showed a more vulnerable side of yourself, the real you, whatever. It was not, I like it when he cries. That was me. And then this bitch is like, you like him falling to pieces, face streaming with tears. Yeah, I do, actually. 100%. That is accurate. That is 150% accurate. It's freaking me out a little. I told you I'm not in love. You clearly have the wrong idea here. Oh no, I'm absolutely in love with him crying. I started typing out a denial in response, but there was another ping. And another. Message after message arrived from Tsumugi. Imagine it, Spacey. Mr. Mitsumori desperately pining for you, but utterly unable to give voice to that desire. Here for it. Instead, he shed silent tears, wondering if he should quietly withdraw. A pitiable, adorable sight for a man of 26. Yeah, I'm into this. If it's stoic strength you're looking for, then Mr. Mitsumori might not be the best choice. But do you truly want to let him go? His weakness is what sets your heart aflame. He stirs your desire to protect and nurture him. Am I not right? I mean, she's not wrong. No. Am I not right? Yeah, no. I'm everything you just... Oh! I'm so transparent! Now's the time to open your saintly heart and enfold him in your gentle care. Wow, she is not giving me a second to slip a word in edgewise. And is it me or is she starting to insist I have some incredibly out there tastes? Okay, so like, seriously, anybody else who actually played this? Or even if you're just watching along, okay? Even if you're just watching along. When Ichia's fucking CG came up with a sobbing face, did you do the same fucking thing I did and go, yeah, I'm into this. What the fuck? And all of a sudden the switch was flipped that you didn't know. I mean, like, I know that existed out there. Hi, we've played games where they're doing that to us. But I never thought that I had that switch in the back of my head. Like, sure, you like it when they're sad. You're like, oh, you're sad. That's cute. I do want to comfort you, you know? But not like this where you're like, oh, like when you cry and you're like, oh, fuck, what the hell? You know what I mean? I just never figured that switch was going to flip. And then, like, all of a sudden, there you go. The light is on, motherfucker. Sames? Because then I'm like, did they purposely do... I mean, obviously, they wanted you to, like, not be like, oh, God, he's crying. They wanted you to be like, oh, he's crying. It's so cute. He's so sweet and sensitive. But do you think they actually wrote it and drew it and everything so you're like, oh, but when you cry, where you just feel a little sadistic and evil and you're like, the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm starting to think that they did it on purpose, like, that they knew where this was going, and they were like, even if you didn't have that kink before, you'd have it for Ichiya at least. True, absolutely. I just thought I got weird. I did not think that they purposely were like, we're gonna do this so everybody's got this kink now. Just for Ichiya. Maybe not for everybody, but for Ichiya, this kink exists now. Like, but it seems extremely planned on their behalf now. With fucking Tsumugi over here. Oh god, this is good. I stared at my phone screen, overwhelmed by the flood of responses. Eventually they slowed. Tsumugi must have started calming down. Tsumugi's very much like us, a representation of the player in general. Because, god, she's crazy. People look for different things in marriage. I won't deny that my engagement was arranged purely for my family's benefit. But you, Spacey, I want you to marry for love. I know it's a selfish wish on my part, but Mr. Mitsumori does love you. That much at least seems clear. Tsumugi. Love. Single word sat on my screen, burning itself into my mind. If you're not convinced, you can confirm it before you decide. Just please, don't give up on him. Yeah. My feelings may not have reached a critical tipping point yet, but I couldn't deny that Ichi had become someone special to me. It'd be far too sad to abandon him simply because he disappointed me once. Thanks. I'll give it another try. Also, he disappointed you now, but it's like, you have to understand that what he's going through and his thought process and, like, his feelings that his brother gets everything and he's never good enough. And even if it's a misunderstanding, it's like, his feelings are still valid. You know what I mean? Might be based on a misunderstanding, might be based on misconception, but his feelings on the whole matter still matter. You know what I mean? So, you can't, I don't know, I think saying, he disappointed me is a little bit much, because it's like, yeah, but he's fucking losing his shit over here. Alright, I'm adjusting shit on my shelf, because everything's just getting out of whack. There's too many books from all of my freaking limited editions that I've been buying. Just started noticing, I'm like, you can't see that one thing, I need to fix it. Listen, I'm weird like that. If I notice something, I gotta fix it. Like, I threw something away in the trash and, like, a piece, like, fell out. And I was like, I'll get it later. And I'm like, nope, gotta get it now. I gotta fix it now. Because I was in the middle of doing something and I was like, nope. I have to fix it because it will drive me crazy just knowing that there was a piece of plastic that didn't make it in the trash. It'll drive me fucking crazy. Like, noticing other shit. Like, okay, this isn't flat against the wall. So I gotta, like, look! I'm weird, alright? Anyway. But, Yeah, so he disappointed me once. It's a little strong. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's valid for us to be disappointed or, feel that way. But I mean, we have to be a little more understanding for him. So I don't think so. I mean, we're not wrong saying, I can't abandon him just because he disappointed me once. It's like exactly because, again, he didn't just like, oh hey, well, okay. One, people are gonna disappoint you. That's human nature. Okay, humans are gonna disappoint other humans. You will be disappointed by someone. You will disappoint someone. It's just the way shit works. But you can't abandon someone because they disappointed you once. Like, what the fuck? If it becomes a pattern, like, he disappoints me once a day, maybe not the right thing. Anyway, I offered Smoogie my honest thanks, thinking everything over as I read her novel of replies a second time. I wonder what Ichi was doing right now, crying, tears streaming down his face. So sexy. Would he be crying like Smoogie had suggested? I can see that being the case, but I can also see that not being the case. According to what Kazu told me, Ichi was never able to reach an understanding with his closest family members. That helped reinforce the inferiority complex he struggled with, right? To fill the lonely void left in his heart, he desperately sought love from other places and other people. Ichi himself had confirmed that. Though I must admit his habit of seeking that comfort from other women first is a bit concerning. I, too, know that kind of loneliness. If I didn't have Kasuga there for me, I'm not sure I would have been able to stand it. Hi! Okay, can we just... His habit of seeking that comfort of love from other women is concerning. I always had Kasuga. Hi! Pot, kettle, which one are you, girl? Let's not call Ichiya out and toss some stones in toss some stones in this glass house. She's not in love with Kasuga, it's me, but I'm just saying, that's just funny. In my brain, I'm like, yeah, but I'm seriously in love with Kasuga, so, like, you can't call Ichi out for that shit. And we're like, I rely on my butler, he's sexy and hot, and I just, oh, right, no, it's only me. I knew all too well how critical it was to have someone beside you, someone who was kind, someone who you could trust. And the thing is I don't think Ichi is like the man whore. I mean, okay, they played him up as the man whore in the very beginning, right? But I don't think he's like, oh, I love women. It's like, he got the attention and the affection from women, girls who were like, oh, you're so much better than your brother. And that's just where he went for that in the future. You know what I mean? It's like a learned response. My family isn't giving me love, and I just want somebody to love and care about me, and then this girl came up to me and chose me over my brother. All right, that's where, and then you just keep doing the same thing. You know what I mean? You just keep going and doing the same thing over and over instead of thinking like, oh, cool, maybe I can go get a job and then the people at work will respect me and then I'll get like some like coworker friendly love, you know what I mean? Like kind of a thing, that affection that you share with just people that are, the acquaintance affection. Like, you don't have to be like good friends with someone, like coworkers. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're in your life temporarily, and you're not besties. And I love you, but you love them. You know what I mean? There's people that come into your life. Sometimes you don't, but like, think of good coworkers that you've had. You're like, oh man, yeah, I love working with them. They're good people, right? It's a type of affection. It's something that Ichi, if he had a job and then people really respected him, or like, oh man, we love having you around, Ichi. Oh, you know what I mean? But he got that kind of affection and attention from a girl. And so he just went full throttle into that. So it's like, it's not like he's a man whore and he's over there like, yeah, I just like, whatever. So, we're concerned about it just because it's a sort of bad learned behavior. Like, Ichi, you can't just do that constantly. You need to understand you don't need it from everybody. It's okay. But it's not like he was getting it from us. That sounds really, like, inappropriate. Like, well, he's not getting it from you. He's going to go, no, we're not talking about that. You know what I mean? But, like, if we turn around and we're like, no, I love you and I want to be I want to be beside you, whatever. He would never flirt with another woman. He might still be polite and nice to people, but he would never flirt with another woman like that. The only reason he was ever flirty like that is because he needs the love and affection. And even though he's in the house trying to get that attention from us, one, he didn't realize, like, he's a little too stupid. We haven't trained him yet. That's fine. But all it took is to be like, I'm going to adopt you. This is your forever home. And no more. Like, wouldn't flirt with another woman. You know it. But while he's, like, uncertain, he's like, I'm going to take their cookies. That sounds really gross and perverted. Anyway, you know what I meant. In that, at least, Ichi and I were startlingly similar. Hi, tiny bird! That's why I couldn't turn my back on him. Well, I couldn't just leave him be. A text message isn't as intimate as a conversation, but I suppose I might as well let him know what's on my mind. Come the fuck home! That thought, I started crafting a whist message. Where are you right now? I knew he wouldn't reply. That's why, when I heard the ping of an incoming message a few seconds later, I jumped in surprise. Sorry, I didn't mean to worry you. Something came up. Oh, look! Even though he's like, I don't want to tell you, he's just like, were you worried? I didn't mean to worry you. Were you worried? You're like, I was worried. Desperately so. My gut reaction was that he was lying. The response was too smooth, too down pat. It read like something prepared well in advance. Is he really going to act like that around me again? I thought for a moment and then sent a reply. When are you coming home? I need to talk to you. It's probably the last thing he wanted to hear right now, but I sent it to him anyway. I wasn't sure he would reply. Samugi told me to open my heart and be ready to accept anything, but I knew that was beyond me. Not sure what to do either. Maybe it was immature of me, but... No, wait. Ichi was far older than I. He ought to be more mature. Theoretically. But maturity clearly wasn't his strong suit. I glared at my phone, my cheeks puffed in a pout. But contrary to my expectations, a reply came shortly. Spacey, are you mad? Yes, goddammit! You abandoned me and I had to eat snack bread for fucking breakfast. Just kidding. Hurry home, please. I chose not to mention whether or not I was mad. I strictly sent the message I wanted to convey. It was clearly read shortly after I sent it, but no quick reply was forthcoming this time. Yes, ma'am, is the right answer, Ichia. Well, is he gonna run again, or... I tamped down my rising impatience as I sat and waited. Eventually... Sorry, I need a little more time. I typed 2 words, I'm waiting, and tossed my phone down on my sofa. This is probably the most he can manage right now. They weren't the words I wanted to hear, but the message he did send was clear and concise, giving me a little hope at least. Seems like Ichiya always comes up with creative new ways to make me wait. I grimaced at the thought. I was sure he was probably thinking everything over as best he could, but when he finally reached out, would I be able to find the words I needed? How fucking retardedly small our lamp is. Like, the lamp is barely the height of the desk. Like, who drew that? Did you see that in the background? It's like stupid short. It's like, you think about how high a desk is, it was barely taller than the desk. That's not a standing lamp. That's like a stupidly tall freaking table lamp where you're like, this is too tall for the table. It's weird. And then you put it on the floor and you're like, it's too stupidly short for the floor. Like, it's dumb looking. Did Tim draw that? Tim, you're better than this. Not at typing, but we know you worked in the art department. Wasn't that Tim got started in the art department? Is that what we said? And freaking back in Hakawoki days where it was like the swooshes and the cool like light swooshes when they were fighting and you're like, ooh, that one's orange and that one's purple. You're like, yeah, Tim did a great job with those effects. But like, Jesus Christ, don't let Tim draw lamps. God, Tim can't type and now Tim can't draw lamps. Now, I forgot to read that. We'll go back afterward. I was distracted by Tim and his stupid lamps. Now anytime we see a stupid lamp, we have to blame Tim for that. Look at that goddamn lamp on her look at that lamp! Wait a minute! That's on her fucking post! That is awkward. It's not as bad, but it is an awkward fucking lamp. Like, it's strange. Not as bad as the lamp in our room, but there's something odd about it now. Now I'm just gonna start noticing stupid lamps. God damn it, Tim! What the fuck? Bright sunlight shone through my window again. I rolled over in bed and stretched. I was like, this feels like deja vu. She said again, thank God. I'd slept better than I had in a while. Yesterday, my rough sleep caused me to wake up with a headache, but today I felt completely rested and refreshed. This is Attempted Marriage Fraud. That's the title of the chapter in case you missed it. I woke up rather earlier than usual, too. Perhaps because my sleep was so restful? Man, I wish. I was certain I'd awoke before everyone else, too. Thought for a moment about what I should do next. I highly doubt Ichi's back yet, so why don't I make some breakfast? I nodded to myself, pleased with the idea. I was sure if Ichiya learned I made breakfast while he was away, he'd be mad at himself for missing the event. Feeling a little smug at the idea, I bustled into the kitchen, and there we find Ichiya tied to a chair with the other three around. Where the fuck have you been? We've been up since 2 a.m. We found this motherfucker. I'm just saying. Some shit's gonna go down. We're like, we're awake before everyone else. Are you? Are you, though? I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Looking in the refrigerator, I didn't see anything particularly interesting food-wise. Ichiya likely ordered exactly what he required for each meal as he needed it. That is fucking intense. You ever just have a craving for something and then you're like, oh, I don't have that one thing I need. Man! You know? Hold on, I'm getting a million text messages now. But like, God, but then you like stock up and then you don't want that anymore. My other sister. A little shitty here, but thanks for asking. My sister's doing homework with her kids, obviously, not my sister. I started screaming and turned into Dad. They're doing math. I'm questioning that because he's like, yes, 8 times 4 is 24. No, it's not. My dad was always the person like, just math. Math was his thing, okay? I mean, he was an engineer, but so like math, science, he was smart, okay? But like, you'd walk in the door sometimes, he'd be like, quick, what's 16 times 8? And you're like, the fuck? What? Why don't you know? What are you, stupid? And you're like, what the hell just happened? The fuck kind of like math dome did I walk into? But he'd always throw these things out, like trying to see if you could do math. You're like, no, I can't do that math that fast. Times 2s, I could just whip it out. That's fine. But like, oh my God. Oh, but that's so funny. Question yourself. 8 times 4, you're like, I've done the math like 3 times in my head. And like, am I stupid? Because 6 times 4 is 24, so 8 times 4 is definitely not 24. 6 times 4 is 24, because it rhymes. Like, certain ones like that, and you're like, wait, what? And then you just Anyway. So if he wasn't around, it would make sense that the fridge would start looking a little bare. Won't be able to make anything terribly impressive with any of this. Oh well. Do you have bread? You can make toast. Isn't that a toaster over there? No, that's a bread box. Is that a bread box? What the fuck is next to it? Is that a toaster that goes like front slotted? Is that a spoon dispenser? What the fuck is that green thing? What is that? It looks like a spoon dispenser. Doesn't it look like a spoon on the front? You just like push and a spoon comes like flying out at your face. I guess it's better than like a fork dispenser. You get forks to your forehead. Like, I'm just saying. There's got to be a toaster in here somewhere. I could steam some rice for rice balls. Make some rolled omelets. I was thinking through other dishes I might try making one. Yeah, see, I was like, toast? You got eggs? Scrambled eggs? Fried eggs? Eggs on toast? The hell was that? A loud crash echoed from the foyer. Oh! They found Ichiya. I told you! What on earth? Struck by a sudden feeling of dread, I hurried out of the kitchen. I just passed through the dining room to the living room when... What? Huh? Ugh. Door opened without warning and a large figure flew through it to faceplant on the floor. Oh my God, that had to hurt. Okay, now you just secure the doors. Roger! The culprits who tossed the figure, Ichiya, into the room whirled around and slammed the door shut so hard I was surprised they didn't shatter. Oh my goodness, Taiga, what on earth is going on? Don't you remember, babe? Told you I'd grab him by the scruff and plunk him down in front of you. We devised a list of the places Ichiya was likely to kill time, and then we set up a little ambush. Yep, then I caught him and dragged him back home. By drag, please tell me you don't mean literally. Ichiya was a moaning pile on the floor. Was I imagining this, or did his clothes look a bit roughed up? It seemed like the other three had no intention of confirming or denying my suspicions. Okay, we did our part, so the rest's up to you, babe.
Yeah, please help Ichi out. My poor tummy is wasting away without his delicious food.
Oh, well, do your best, but don't go overboard. Where are they going? They just secured all the doors. Excuse me? I stood there confused as the others shuffled away. I knew they were going to literally strong arm him. Wait, no, that wasn't the problem. This, right after last night. All the rotten timing. Once again, I'd underestimated how crazy those three could get sometimes. It was too early for this. Maybe I should be the one to run away this time. I let the thought percolate a moment when... Oh, look at sad Ichia! Hold on, sorry. My mom replied. Anyway, Ichia groaned and slowly stood up. My chance to leave was gone. We looked at each other for a long breath, then both looked away at the same moment. Oh god, this is awkward. What in the world am I supposed to do? They tossed this whole problem in my lap! Literally! Strangely, it was Ichia who broke the silence first. Spacey... Even he must have realized that he wasn't slipping away. Not now. Looking extremely... Oh god, my timer stopped on my thing and I was like, what the fuck? Looking extremely uncomfortable, he hunched over, almost like he wanted to make himself as small as possible. I'm sorry. I've been thinking over how I need to talk to you. But every time I told myself I'd go to do it, all of a sudden I'd remember Kazuya and, That much I'd expected. The problem was what to do next. Now I'm the one left not knowing what to say. I thought over this very scenario, deciding on what I would say when he came back. This was all so sudden, my mind was completely blank. I tried to hold my composure as I flailed mentally. Ichia spoke up, interrupting my tumultuous thoughts. So, you went to see Kazuya. I knew it. He had heard. I nodded. Yes? Oh, was it? Ichia was extremely timid, his questions hesitant. His voice seemed almost frightened. I thought hard and decided to give him an honest answer. It was worthwhile, I'd say. He clearly presented the advantages of a partnership between the Tojo family and the Shinzaki group. And he made sure to educate me on what he could bring to the table that you couldn't. Oh. Ichia's face grew darker and darker as I spoke. It's like, Ichia, your brother's not going to lobby for you. You need to lobby for yourself. I get it. It's like having to do a review. Tell us how awesome you are. And you're like, I don't know. I show up and I do my job, I guess, right? I'm not going to sit there and tell you I'm the best thing ever because I know I'm not the best thing ever and it's fucking bullshit. People are like, I'm the best thing ever. No, you're not. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? The people who say, oh, I'm like the best ever, like no one's better than me, are literally the fucking worst. Okay? That's all they have is they're full of shit. But like, you know, you still have to be like, I think I did pretty good. I mean, I got some problems, but like, I'm not terrible. And then people are like, no, you're better than that. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But like, Ichi's over here like, oh, right, Kazuya. No, seriously, Ichi, you gotta be like, I'm not all bad. Yeah, there you go. Something. But if I back down and leave it at this, things will keep going in circles. I decided to make a bold move. Ichiya, listen, let me say one thing for certain. Huh? If I think exclusively about who's best for the Tojo family, it's obvious that Kazu would be the best choice as my husband. Far better, at least, than any of the suitors grandfather chose, including you. He's like, oh. Like, it's true, though. Ichiya stared. His face went ghostly pale. If he'd paid attention, he would have noticed my condition. I'd said I'd looked at what was best for the family. I hadn't said a thing about my personal feelings. But apparently he wasn't composed enough to pick up on that detail. It almost looked like he was quivering. I'm starting to feel like I'm bullying him.
Yeah, but you kind of like it a little, don't you? Son of a bitch!
You're like, he didn't notice my condition, which I liked because he started to quiver. Looks really sad. He might cry. Should I tell him the condition or should I wait till he cries? I'm gonna wait till he cries. What has this game done to me? I wanted to test his reaction, yes, but if I left it at this... Huh?
No, oh no, stop! No!
The game knows what I like.
He's actually fucking crying. Oh, game, why?
I mean, thank you, I appreciate it. You're here for me, but also like, oh, come on! Do not frickin' stoke this fire of frickin' debauchery over here. Don't make it worse. Ichia sniffled. I flinched.
Whoa, wait a minute. Not that. Not yet. Sad Ichia face. But sad Ichia with like little red creepy eyes is just so much better. Stop it. What is wrong with me? Oh my god, I've got problems. Oh, Gabe, what are you doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to start crying. But when I realized you'd pick Kazuya over me too, I just... Ichia sniffled again, desperately trying to keep his watering eyes from spilling over. I sighed. That did it. Ugh, this man! Like, I'm so turned on right now. You were the one who brought up the comparison in the first place! Now dry your eyes! Sheesh! This isn't like the last time, you know. I'm not gonna pat you on the head and console you. God, I want to, though. I'm gonna throw you down and kiss you, though! I held out a handkerchief so he could wipe his eyes as I gently scolded him. I'm really sorry. Ugh, God, I'm so pathetic. I just can't seem to keep it together around you. Ichia, I like that, though. Letting me see his real, vulnerable self that one time must have changed something in him. Now he wasn't capable of controlling his feelings around me. Yeah, but I kind of like that he's a weepy sad sack. Gonna get annoying every once in a while, but if you like scold him and you're like, suck it up, buttercup! And then he stops and then later you go like, oh, I love it when he cries. You know what I mean? Like, listen, there's a time and a place for crying and it's the bedroom. Listen, we're in the middle of a business meeting. Are you trying to turn me on? No, then suck up the tears, bitch! Jesus. It's not the time for foreplay. Oh, God. Is it this game or do I have a brain aneurysm? I might have a brain aneurysm. Who knows? Jesus. Oh. The Ichia stood before me now wasn't a bit like the suave poser I'd first met. Yeah, I like this one better. Don't get me wrong, I like the cheesy poser too. Like, blah, 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 cheesy ass lines, weird things, you know, and you're like, what is wrong with you? I love it. And now he's like, crying, and it's like, you're just like two sides of a dramatic coin, and I love it. He's literally the comedy and the tragedy fucking masks over here. Like, you are just like swinging the gamut, boy, and I'm here for it all. The fucking dramatics are great. At least he wasn't like that around me. In fact, he probably reserved his real self for me. Oh, they do. Don't worry, it's hardly uncommon. Once you discover your hidden inclinations, it's so hard to resist pursuing them. I am not pursuing any hidden inclinations, and I most certainly don't think he's cute when he cries. Yes, we do. I made excuses to fend off my memories of Samugi's psychological diagnosis, and then exhaled loudly. We do think he's cute when he cries. Ichia sniffled again, rubbing at his eyes. I didn't do something to alleviate the wrong idea he'd gotten. We weren't going to get anywhere. So, Ichia, you may want to try listening to the whole story before jumping to any conclusions. I haven't said that I will definitely choose Kazu over anyone just yet. Huh? Really? Yes. There's still critical information I need before I can make any kind of final decision. Information? His face brightened a moment, then, when he realized what I likely meant, it clouded again. He was entirely correct, too. You did promise me, remember? You promised you would tell me about your past. I'd like it if you could fill me in now. This is only a hunch, but... I suspect all that business about the marriage fraud has something to do with Kazu. Ichiya's eyes flew open in shock. I suppose I guessed correctly. I don't think it's fair to make me decide whom I should marry until I know the truth about what happened during that incident. I was sure he understood that this was his only chance to open up, but I knew it wasn't easy for him. The battle raging in his heart played out on his face. His expression shifted again and again. I quietly waited and watched. Eventually, after a silence that was too long and still somehow too short, Ichiya spoke up. All right, fine. I'll tell you everything. His voice was quiet but firm. His eyes were filled with resigned determination. A promise is a promise. If I break this one, then you'll have a good reason to hate me for sure. His lopsided smile had a self-deprecating edge to it. He took a deep breath and then began to talk. The end. Just kidding. So, where to begin? First, let me tell you about my family. I was born into the Shinzaki family, as you know, not the Mitsumori family. There were 4 of us in our household. My mom, my dad, Kazuya, and me. My dad was a workaholic. He loved his job and he had massive ambitions for it too. He was an extremely rational person. He never let an iota of sentiment get in the way of his logic. Every action he took was efficient and effective. My mother was the perfect partner for my father. Her personality and skills were well suited to support him in everything he did. If Dad's arrogance put him in danger of ruining business relationships, she scolded him and deflated his ego. I think their partnership was the main reason Shinzaki Group experienced such explosive growth in my father's generation alone. Eventually, Mom and Dad had twin sons, me and Kazuya. Personally, I think Kazuya inherited all the best qualities from our parents, and I got the leftovers. He was always the best at everything he did, both athletically and academically. I never beat him in anything, not even once. Well, I mean, you were basically just spare parts. Kazuya was supposed to, reabsorb you in the womb, and that just didn't happen, and so he was like, ah! You got the emotional baggage. I was a sentimental klutz, a black sheep. I stuck out from the rest of my family. The 3 of them loved having in-depth conversations about complicated topics. I could never follow what they were saying, and it made me feel so alone. See, he's kind of a little bit of a himbo, you know? I don't think he's totally stupid, but he's not really smart either, you know what I mean? Heck, they even told me to my face once that I wasn't suited to live in the same world as them. And that was pretty devastating, let me tell you. Ichiya tried to smile, but it was a tight, tense grin that looked more painful than happy. And again, let's just flash back to Kazuya being like, we care about him, and then be like, oh, see? Yeah, caring isn't love, though. It's different, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you could tell someone that you care about them and you love them, but you don't, like, sometimes saying love is, like, a little intense. You know what I mean? You love your friends, you love your family. You might have a type of, like we were talking before, oh, like the work acquaintance. Man, I love working with these people, right? Yeah, they're great. You only want the best for them, but you wouldn't be like, oh, I love them. Yeah, I mean, if you're like, oh, I love my coworkers, they're great. But you wouldn't go up to each one and be like, I love you, man. Maybe, depending on your relationship with them. But most likely, you'd be like, no, I really care about them as people. And that's a type of love, but like, that's not the type of love you have for your family. Yes, you care about your family. You love your family. You don't have to like them, but you know what I mean? Like, it's there's just something different about when somebody in your family is like, I mean, we care about him, but you don't love him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, if it's an acquaintance or something and they're like, they say they care about you, you're like, that's really nice. But when it's your family, we care about you. I mean, yeah, most likely, depending on the conversation, they can say, oh, we care. And you know that they love you, but it's just really weird when we went up and specifically like, Ichiya doesn't think you love him. And it's like, well, we care about him, but you didn't say you loved him. And that was the topic of the conversation. Ichiya doesn't think you love him. Of course we love him. What the fuck is wrong with that idiot? That's the right answer. Not, we care about him. care about the family dog. You probably love your family dog. Well, you don't have one, but if you had one, you'd probably love it more than you loved Ichigo. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It just seemed a little. I'm not sure that you really get what Ichigo needs here. Do they care about him? Sure. Do they love him? I don't. Not. It's I'm gonna go with probably not. I don't know. It could have just been the phrasing of it, but that's just the impression it gave me. Anyway. His version of the story already sounded more intense than the version Kazu told me. I feel his pain. Looking back at it, I think that was about the time I started feeling detached from my family. It felt like they'd told me that I didn't have a place in their home, that they didn't need me. It wouldn't surprise me if some people, hearing his story, would say that he'd had interpreted his family the wrong way and was broken up over a minor issue. He'd been born into very fortunate circumstances. It wasn't as if he'd been abused or neglected. And yet, growing up with the feeling nobody loves you fosters a deep sense of loneliness in a person, a sense of alienation. It was a frigid feeling. Growing up with that feeling could leave deep scars. It was true for Ichigo as well as myself. Why am I ruminating over that old memory? I have to keep my composure. I press my lips together as I shoot away my unpleasant thoughts. Ichigo noticed and grimaced. I told you before that I generally spend a lot more time around women than men, right? Yeah, I won't deny that I don't really get on well with guys, but that isn't the only reason. He's not like other boys. I don't get along with other guys. I only get along with girls. It was adult ladies, friends of the family as well as business acquaintances, who doted on me when my family went cold. And they saved me, really. And it's also this. You learn as a child that women paid attention to you and gave you affection. And yes, they're giving you motherly kind of affection, but still, you know what I mean? You don't grow up with healthy relationships with people. You're gonna turn it into weird. You're gonna manipulate it into weird shit, and it's not his fault. You know what I mean? But it's just the way it happened. Them and the girls at school who fell for me, they gave me a place to belong. Whenever they said they liked me better than Kazuya, it pushed me to build up my self-confidence. But no matter how hard I tried, it never seemed like I could escape from his shadow. The more we grew up and matured, the more successful Kazuya became. It was overwhelming and demoralizing. I was ridiculously jealous of him. I mean, I can't blame you. The man's got a sexy suit and glasses on. I still prefer Ichigo, don't get me wrong, but Kazuya looks really hot in the spray. Then one day there was an incident. It kicked off the chain of events that would eventually earn me that lovely attempted marriage fraud title. I kind of feel like somebody was into him and was thinking that... Yeah, okay. Just right here. What I was going to say, and this kind of confirms it, was I kind of feel like the attempted marriage fraud is somebody's thinking, oh, he's just Shinzaki, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever, and they're going to marry him, whatever, thinking that he's going to take over and he's the powerful one. And then when he's like, oh, yeah, no, that's my brother, then they get mad. It's like, oh, yeah, whatever. That, you know what I mean? Because he's just oh, someone's paying attention and wants to marry me. This is awesome. And it's not realizing that she's marrying you for the title and the name, not realizing that you're not going to get that. That's going to be your brother. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's he earns the title when he really didn't probably do anything wrong aside for being a little stupid. At the time, I was still a Shinzaki. I was working at one of the Shinzaki Group's minor affiliate companies. Kazuya was already declared Dad's heir, and he was making big waves over at HQ. Compared to him, I was a small fish doing average work in a minor business. Exactly. They don't, but this girl isn't going to know and thinking Ichi is going to take over or has a chance. But I didn't mind my job. I was actually enjoying myself. Living on my own away from home, I finally felt like I could stretch out, breathe, and be myself. Unfortunately, even though I drifted by as Kazuya's unfocused younger brother, I couldn't erase my family name and the ties that came with it. I was a Shinzaki. See, every month the family held a get-together dinner. One of the customs at that dinner was for everyone to share their work-related successes in the past month. Ugh, it was always so depressing. I went, but I was never happy about it. So it was at one of those dinners that Kazuya mentioned that he wanted to marry the Tojo family heir. Back then I didn't know you at all. And with the way he talked about it, it seemed like he regarded the marriage as just a means of expanding the business. Also, was this like in the last like year? Because how fucking much of a child were we? Like in the last like, oh, it was like a year ago. She was 16. If it was even before that, gross! Someday I'm gonna marry her. I know she's only 12 right now, but ew! Nasty! That is some fucked up shit! Look! I dated someone younger than me. Right? They were an adult, I was an adult. But when their mother is showing you pictures, like, oh, blah, 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 and you're like, you were in school. I would think I was getting drunk in college, but that's when you start realizing shit's weird. You're like, oh, that's creepy. I know it doesn't, like, that's the past, but it's still like, if you're thinking, like, right now, oh, okay, beep, 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 let's go back in time when I'm 26. Or, okay, let's just say it was okay. Let's say they were 23. He's 23, because it's 3 years ago. She's what, 14? He's like, oh, someday I'm going to marry her. Ew! I already think it's a little gross that a 26-year-old man's trying to marry a 17-year-old girl, but let's just throw that out the window and just be like, okay, well, we're rich people, and rich people are fucking weird, okay? And it's like, oh, we're going to sign this marriage contract as a business arrangement. But you were, like, ready to make a business arrangement and marry this girl when she was 14. You should have been like, what the fuck if someone brought that up? Whoa! Okay, when she hits, like, 20, we'll talk about it, but until then, gross. That girl's 14. But he's over here playing. I mean, it could have just literally been in the last few months. You know what I mean? But still, like, Kazuya, just stop it. Stop it. The suit and the glasses aren't helping. They look good, but man, you're kind of creepy underneath. Like, no. I had to shake my head. It was peak Kazuya to think of marriage as nothing more than another business transaction. I couldn't understand it. Both my parents were very enthusiastic about establishing a connection with the Tojo family, so they started to make concrete plans. Again, they're basically like, yes, let's arrange this. It's a rich people thing, and maybe it's just because I don't get that, not being fucking rich and not having my parents try to sell me for some fucking company stock or some shit. It is like fucking gross. But Kazuya actually stopped them. He said he'd love to plan with them, but he had a problem. There's an issue. I happened to meet the daughter of an important client at work, and now she's getting pretty serious about courting me. If I flat out refuse her, it's likely she'll complain to her parents, and they might use their influence to hamper some of our projects. Hey, Ichia, what's your advice? This is your area of expertise, right? I don't think he was honestly asking for my opinion. I think he did it just to help lighten the mood. Maybe he noticed that I hadn't said much the whole night and thought he'd toss me a bone by asking me a question and bringing me into the conversation. But his timing couldn't have been worse. You see, the day before I'd been dumped by a woman I'd hoped to marry. What? That was surprising news to me. Ichia looked away from me awkwardly. Yeah, it was a long time ago. A long time ago! So, like, your brother is trying to marry a girl who wasn't even fucking, probably was a tween at the time. Gross, just fucking gross. I don't care if it's a business thing. You're like, oh yeah, well, I mean, that's gotta be a ways off, though. She's a child, instead of being like, yeah, let's arrange this marriage. I know she's only like 13, but gross! Oh, so, God! Ah! And she told me I was a great lover, but she'd never even entertained the thought of actually marrying me. She said she didn't believe I was serious about us. I had been serious, though. At least I thought I was treating our relationship like it was a sure thing. When I'd asked him about his previous relationships, I'd listened while feeling irritated about his exploits. But oddly, listening to him now, I didn't feel irritation so much as understanding? Suppose it might be because I'm giving serious thought to marrying Ichia now. He acted around this ex-girlfriend of his like he once acted around me, overly romantic and grandiose. I'm sorry, but I can completely understand why she turned you down. Ichia, who had no idea what was going through my mind at the moment, kept speaking. I could hear the pain lingering at the edge of his voice. I wondered, was I just not attractive enough? What was so bad about me? What was I missing? And would she have happily married me if I'd been Kazuya instead? He came to me with that question right after I'd just gone through all that, and frankly, it pissed me off. I was mad I wasn't thinking straight. I just wanted to get back at him. So I said something dumb. Leave it to me. I can convince that girl to get off your back. Kazuya tried to stop me, but I wouldn't listen. I kept insisting until my family let me handle it. I know you're insisting on it, but are you sure? I believed if I could do something Kazuya couldn't and made him indebted to me, it'd get my self-confidence back. My plan was stupidly simple. On the outside, at least, we were identical, so I would just pretend to be my brother.
Oh, okay. Well, alright, no, Ichiya, this was definitely on you. It's because he's an idiot. I mean, okay, like, your brother looks hot in that suit, but, like, Ichiya in the suit with the ruffled hair. Yeah, no, I'm here for it. Arrangements were made for me to meet the lady as Kazuya. At first, everything went great. She was completely convinced that I was him. All I had to do then was make her fall so deeply in love with me that she would choose me over Kazuya when I eventually pulled back the curtain on the ruse. Unfortunately, she was a much more talented schemer than me. Right when my plan was hitting its final phase, she sprung her trap and tried to set up what would seem to everyone like a fait accompli? Fait accompli? Something between us. It almost worked, too. Is it fait? I can't know. Anyway. Oh! Oh! It's like, girl! Hands off my man! What the fuck? Ichiya, sad, drugged, and rumpled, is also hot. And it sounds so creepy. Okay.
See, she drugged my drink. When I woke up, I was in bed, naked. I knew I was in deep trouble, but I was too woozy to even lift a finger. I started to panic.
This is actually really fucking sad, Ichiya. I mean, he looks ridiculously sexy in the CG, but, like, this is sad. And game, you shouldn't be doing this where you're like, the CG is, like, hot, but, like, the situation is horrible. What are you doing? Stop. This is wrong. This is wrong, and now I want to cry. Poor fucking Ichiya.
But at the last minute, Kazuya rode to my rescue. He'd been secretly watching me the whole time, figuring I'd have to screw things up at some point.
You didn't, though! Somebody tried to... Okay.
The lady was furious, of course. The minute she learned I was really Kazuya's twin.
I'll sue! This was fraud!
She screamed and shouted and refused to listen to what anyone had to say.
Yeah, no, but you know what's funny about this, though? Oh, it's fraud! You tried to drug and assault me! But sadly, because she's a woman, you know, they're going to listen to her and be like, oh, well, you tried to con her. She drugged me and tried to sexually assault me. Excuse me? But men don't get listened to in that situation, so, like, Jesus fucking Christ. My God, why don't you just slap us in the face with a horrible reality game? This is awful. I hate you. And I really do love this game, but this is terrible. Poor fucking Ichiya. It's the Shinzaki heir I want, not a counterfeit loser like you! Oh! Stop it! I'm not turned on by this. It's not like, oh, Ichiya cry. It's like, oh no, now this is where you want to hold him and pet him and comfort him. Stop it, don't hurt his feelings like this. Don't cry, baby, it's okay. She's a horrible person. What she did to you was wrong. This is where you want to comfort him. This is what's supposed to happen when they look sad and crying. You just want to pet them and comfort them and like, no, it's okay, sweet, don't cry. You know. Not be like, yeah, I want to make you cry more. That was before. Now, no. Right now we're in normal territory.
Counterfeit loser. That hurt. She didn't drop the idea of being Kazuya's wife either. She kept pushing, threatening to sue over my deception if he didn't get engaged to her.
You just shove her out the window, it's fine. If you don't want me to sue, you better set me up with Kazuya. You owe me at least that much for putting me through this farce, you fraud! I don't care what you're really like, or what he's like for that matter. Shut up and do what I tell you, you counterfeit loser, or else!
But Kazuya was 100 times more clever than she was. He had found proof that she drugged me and threw it back in her face. She was forced to back down. Everything went about as badly as it possibly could have.
I mean, seriously, it's not... The fact that then you're branded as attempted marriage fraud. But we're just gonna pretend that you weren't just assaulted.
Never mind getting Kazuya to owe me a favor. I wound up owing him. My situation at home didn't exactly improve either. My parents were disgusted with me, which is just so sad. They're disgusted with you. I mean, they're mad because the girl's all angry and whatever, but they just really, you can't go past that and be like, what a conniving fucking cunt she was. She drugged you and was going to assault you, but now they're mad at you? Oh, no, 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 no. I'm getting so mad. So mad! This hurts so much. We never should have left the plan to you. We should have seen this coming. And they said all that and more. Funnily enough, Kazuya had some nice words. I think he took pity on me. Well, maybe because he knows what was going on and he's not an complete asshole. I still don't like him. He looks hot in the suit, but he's still kind of a douche. He told me to forget about what had happened. He said I'd given him means of shutting down his would-be suitor for good. Not that any of that made me happy. Heck, that was probably what hurt me the most. It's like, don't worry about it, Ichiya. I got rid of her. Cool. You had to get sexually assaulted for it, but that's fine. Oh. Maybe Kazuya didn't know how to deal with this situation, but that was not the right way to do it. For me, that incident really drove the fact home. I wasn't fit to be a Shinzaki, and there was no place in the family for a failure like me. You want to let the Mitsumori family adopt you? Are you serious about this, Ichiya? I don't remember his mother's voice, but I've decided I'd voluntarily leave the Shinzaki family and let one of our distant relatives, the Mitsumori family, adopt me. Fortunately, they were actually looking for someone to be the family heir. Letting them adopt me was something that we discussed a time or two before. Eventually, I forced the decision and left. I'm sure everyone was happier with me gone. Especially Kazuya. If you want to go, why not? They seem like a family that's better suited for you. He said that to my face before I left. So I had my family name officially changed and left my old job. And that's why I was unemployed when you met me. I know that we're not technically done with this part, but we're like way over time, so I'm gonna stop here because this is traumatic. So everyone, you go get a drink, curl up with a blanket, hug a stuffed animal or your pet. I can't hug my bird; he won't like that, but it's okay. He's snuggling with me, and I need the emotional support. And then we'll come back, and things will probably get darker. But on this happy note, anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.